Welcome to Artists Supporting Artists. I'm Iz, an artist on a mission to speak to all kinds of people about their creative journey. On this week's episode, I speak to Kitty Ward, a potter from South Devon. It was so interesting to hear about how she doesn't really feel like she's a creative person, which obviously shocked me. So, if you feel like you're not that much of a creative person, this is probably an episode for you.
Kitty, hello, welcome to Artists Supporting Artists.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Feeling good today.
Yeah, good. Are you in your studio right now?
In the studio right now, yeah.
Perfect, look at that.
That's the mess corner. We won't.
Yeah, we won't look at that.
There's always a mess corner, I feel like.
Everywhere, even in the least creative of households, there's always a messy drawer.
A drawer or a corner.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll start with the question that I ask everybody to start with, and that is, what does creativity look like to you?
Yeah, I think I've obviously watched your other ones, and I love listening to what other people say.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
So interesting. It's not. I will probably babble. It's not something that I really think about. It's now just something that I do, and I guess what I do is creative. But when I was at school, I wasn't a creative person. Like, I've got all of these lovely drawings on my windows at my studio, and everyone comes in and they're like, oh, they're so beautiful, and I didn't do them. I can't draw or paint to save my life.
Oh wow.
I tried but I got my friend to come in and do them. So I think I was quite surprised when pottery fell into my life, because I really didn't see myself as a creative person. But I suppose that's the wonderful thing about what creativity is that it can be so many different things to lots of different people. I suppose for me, it's massively based around physically making. That's my expression of creativity. But I suppose it's maybe an expression. I suppose being able to express something that you can't. When I often get asked about, what inspires me or what sort of is behind my work, and sometimes I have an answer. Other times it's just I just love making. So I guess that's my expression.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, perfect. I mean, it's so interesting to hear you talk about the fact that you don't think you're a creative person, because you were one of the first people I wanted to interview for this, because it was
so funny.
Yeah, because I just can't believe that. So, how did you get into pottery then?
I went with my now fiance's mother.
What?
She took me she used to go every Sunday to a lovely lady in Dartington, which is just half an hour away. And she took me one time. It was a rainy Sunday, and I just went because I had nothing else to do. And I threw a couple of things, awful things, as everyone's first things are. That's the first thing. But then I didn't go again. But I didn't get them back for a while. About 6 months later, I got them back. And I was I think I sent my mum a picture, look at what I've made. I was so chuffed with them. She'd glazed them and finished them really nicely. And I'd never had that feeling of feeling so proud of something that was really quite but I was really it was a really weird experience for me, because I think not thinking that I am creative, it was really unusual for me to, physically, you can hold it and feel that you've made it. And I'm not super spiritual about pottery, but it is nice that you can tell that it's handmade. And so from then, I don't think I potted for a while, but it was then in the back of my mind. I was working, and so it was in the back of my mind. And then for my 21st birthday, I got a wheel.
Nice.
And that was sort of the injector. To just throwing, and then reconnected with my primary school art teacher, who is an amazing woman, but she is a ceramicist. And she has worked with pottery her whole like creative career, but more sculptural. So she hand builds,
Mm.
she does like bust work. She's amazing. Um, but she was like, "Oh, I've actually been really wanting to learn how to throw." So we both found. She worked with someone at Plymouth Art Uni who was the technician. So he actually gave
Mm.
us like 6 weeks of once a week we go to the uni and do a few hours of throwing with him.
Wow.
Yeah, and then you sort of meet, you end up meeting people like Caroline and along the way that help. But yeah, not the most conventional journey, but it's a journey.
That's
Yeah.
crazy to me. Like that's yeah, that's so wild. So then, because how long have you had your studio open now? Like maybe 2 years, is it?
Yeah, it will be 2 years this October, so a year and a half, year and yeah, yeah, um,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how did you transition from going to a pottery class once a week to then
Mm.
being like, I can do this so much to make money from that I then invest in a studio
Yeah,
and it becomes my full-time job.
it feels like a big jump. Um, yeah, it was definitely a big jump at the time when I opened here. I had another studio for about 8 months before moving in here in the like top room of a church. It was really cool.
Right. Wow.
Not the best, like it was quite damp and not the best space, but it was a space, and I could have my kiln there. Yeah, I think from when I got my own wheel, I really started to think about selling when our house just became like too full of pots. And Hugo was
Yeah.
like, you can maybe try and sell some of these just because we didn't need any more mugs and bowls.
Yeah.
So I think before I got that first studio, I did a couple of like the local markets, like
Mm.
Christmas markets, and then I looked for a studio space, which was this church room, um, and yeah, I'm not sure why. I think I had to move out of the church and wasn't really sure at that point. It wasn't my job. I was still
Mm. Yeah.
and then I think it was definitely wanting to transition into it being at least a bit of my job. Um,
Yeah.
and then my stepdad said, "Oh, there is this space in Salcombe. You know what Salcombe's like. It's trying to find space in Salcombe is like
Hmm.
it's hard."
Needle in a haystack. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really hard. But he was like, there is this one space, a customer of mine, he works on the harbour here, so he kind of knows all the ins and
The
outs, which is
nooks and
very
crannies.
handy.
Yeah.
So we came to see this space, um, and it was in a really bad way. A couple of people were like, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. Like don't do
Wow.
it. Like the ceiling had fallen in. Yeah, it was in a mess. But the space itself that had so much potential. So Hugo was like, "Yeah, just do it. It'll be fine." So I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." It felt like such a huge risk, and it needed a lot of financial input. Just
Mm.
making a space more habitable. But yeah, that was the game changer really. That now it is I've been working full time for however long I've been in here. Um,
That's so cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, it's crazy to think it was like it obviously was meant for you, you
I think
know.
yeah, I don't know how to. I think it was because I've never had something like that before, like that feeling towards something that
Yeah.
like I could just it just makes sense to me, a lot of things about clay and ceramics, and yeah, which is nice because I hadn't really had that feeling before. So I didn't really know, like, leaving school what I wanted to do. Some people are like, yes, I've always known I wanted to be this and this.
Mm.
I never had that, and that was fine. I was just working jobs that I liked, but with no real direction. And then pottery came along, which
Yeah.
is lovely. Yeah, changed my
And
life.
just that snowball effect of just one incident into the next, into the next, into the next,
Yeah,
turning into like, because when because yeah, because I feel like we followed each other for a while on
yeah,
Instagram, and then I walked past your studio, knowing that you had a studio, I
yeah,
think, but and then like actually seeing it in person, and being like, wow, like this is like fully fledged like
yeah.
studio, like it was crazy.
Yeah, it is the space is great. I would like the space is really good. It functions really well as being me being able to work in here and then also having like a space to sell as well. Um,
Mm.
and I think people really enjoy, someone could come in on a Monday. Actually, I'm not open on Mondays, a Tuesday, and I'd be throwing, and then, on a Friday, I might be, glazing or doing something different. And I think
Mm.
I didn't know anything about pottery. You don't know what you don't know. So I think it's quite
Yeah,
interesting when people come in and ask questions and like to see that it's being made. Everything is happens in here. So the making,
yeah.
moving, firing. So yeah, I think that's quite nice.
Yeah, just having that as like an immersive experience for people to come and see as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It, I'm sure that draws people back just to like pop in just to see what you're doing.
I get so many popperinas just like hi, which
Yeah,
is like not here to buy at all, which I am do not. Yeah, that's not what I want. I'd rather people come in and ask questions and see what
yeah,
throwing actually mean. Like I have a sign on the wall on your way down to the studio that says "Learn to throw" because I'm now teaching,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
can hear people coming down the alley going, "Learn to throw." What a funny expression! Like because it is a weird. Like you don't think pottery and throwing sort of go
yeah,
together, but it's
yeah,
yeah, it's nice. I love the chatting. Yeah,
yeah. And I think the way it, first of all, your space is so beautiful. The way you've done it is just amazing. But
thank you.
that you walk in and it really sets the tone, even before you come in and see your work. I think it all really makes sense. You've done such a good job of like the second that you walk through, kind of making it feel very like immersive, but also all very cohesive within the stuff that you create.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. It's definitely I think back to the way even the way the space functioned when we first opened, and like I had my sink in the wrong place, and but yeah, it's still a bit of a rolling project. But it's definitely the best it's been, and it's
Mm.
working a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more functional now. Everything's in its place, I think. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it is nice, and I've taken on the little bit of outside space as well. So I've rejuvenated that this spring, which is nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
So tell me more about your teaching and your
yeah,
pottery lessons.
that's going really well, better than I thought. I think, although I always knew that it would be a good thing to do, just because of how much I loved it and how much it literally changed my life going to that one lesson.
Mm.
And also because people are, Salcombe is a holiday destination. People are always looking for things to do. There isn't really anything like there aren't many options for that down here. Sort of
No, there isn't.
yeah, that like intimate experience of I've only got the two wheels, so I can have two people here at a time, which I think is
Mm.
really nice because I'm either getting mums and daughters or husbands and
Mm.
wives, or it's really lovely to have that. And I don't think I have the space to accommodate more than two.
No.
But yeah, it's going really well. And it's nice for me, especially I launched them last September, and especially during the winter when the town is, significantly quieter. It's nice to have to still get that like interaction with people, and
Mm.
also I cannot ignore that it is an income. Like it's
Yeah, of
yeah,
course.
yeah, it is it works really well.
Yeah, that's amazing. So what would people expect? So if they book a lesson with you, what
Yeah.
can they expect? They've never
Yeah.
say they've never thrown before, because I also have a
Keep drone?
potter's wheel, and I yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I have a wheel. I got it for Christmas years ago now, maybe
Nice.
5 years ago. Um, and I've always been really trying to get my dad into it.
Yeah.
And funny enough, today, on the day of recording, he's retiring today. This is his final day in the police.
Oh,
And and
amazing.
he's got another job. But I said to him, like, within your free time, like, go on the wheel. So I
Yeah.
might book him into one of your lessons because
Send him
I think
my
he'd be
way.
the
Yeah.
perfect person for it. So tell me, yeah, he's never thrown before. So
Mm.
what can he expect?
I think, well, from there are I can sort of tell you what my lessons look like, but then also in
Mm,
general, I think throwing is quite different to like hand building ceramics. You're obviously
mhm.
working with like a moving piece of kit,
Yeah,
and often your foot is involved as well. So it's
yeah,
like one of these things where you've got to like
yeah,
juggle a lot of different things.
yeah,
So it's not as easy as it looks. It's definitely one of those things when you see someone throwing it, it's like, ooh, up comes the clay, and it looks all
yeah.
like just spin the
Not
wheel
the
and up it comes.
case.
It's
Even
it's
even centering it, it's like it's not that easy.
exactly, yeah. I think from the feedback that I get, it's one harder than it looks, which everything is. Everything is always
Hmm.
harder than it looks, especially with like a practice skill, and also that it doesn't work in the way people think it works,
Mm.
which is interesting. And I think I can remember feeling like a similar way. So I often get people come in and they say, "So what can if we come for a lesson? What can we make?" And it hugely depends one on whether you've thrown
Yeah.
before and also just how people get on. Like
Mm.
often, if people work practically, they will maybe be able to get a little bit more out of the clay if they were starting from the same base level of zero,
Hmm.
just because it's so much about sort of pressure, when to squeeze, when to not squeeze. But I haven't had anyone not leave with something that they were pleased with. Um,
Good.
Often more bowl shapes than like
Up
things often go
height.
more horizontal than vertical. But
Mm.
yeah, it's good. It's really good. And I've had some people coming back, which is nice. I've also had a couple of women actually who have maybe thrown a bit before, are down in Salcombe, and have one woman came in the other week and she can throw. She's been throwing for a couple of years, but she hasn't really thrown plates before. So we did a whole session
Mm.
just on plates, and you can sort of not skip, but focus less on the centering and the sort of the wedging, the preparing play at the
Yeah.
beginning, and just practice that one skill, which is really nice. Nice for me also to that was a change. Um,
Yeah. Just having different levels, more intermediate rather than
yeah,
beginner.
yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's definitely a bit of a split between people who are here on holiday and just want the experience, which is lovely, and also people who really want to learn. Um,
Yeah.
so that also changes the way the lesson goes. Some people would rather focus on getting an outcome from that one lesson, whereas other people are like not too worried about what I come away with. I just like to get the technique, like focus on getting practicing the technique.
Mm.
So
Just
yeah,
honing the skill a bit more.
exactly. Yeah. One 2 hour pottery session is never going to make a thrower. Like
No.
you're not going to come away. Yeah, yeah. At being able to throw consistently, and
Yeah.
but it is a good start. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
So when you were learning, did you
Mm.
learn all sorts of different, okay, like this week we're going to learn how to throw a mug and then a plate and then so
Sure.
on.
Um, we spent a good few weeks, maybe three of the weeks, just throwing cylinders. So like
Mm.
throwing a vertical shape that in theory could be a mug, but literally just throw it and then do that thing that you might have seen online where you like run a
Oh
wire
yeah,
through
you
it,
put it down,
rip
yeah.
it in half. Yeah. The like heart wrenching bit when you're like, look at what I've done, and then someone's like, now chop it.
Yeah.
But it is super helpful, like to see. I think yeah, throwers all work differently, but it's good practice to try and get the most out of like the most efficient use of clay out of
Mhm.
the amount you're throwing. So it's really useful to cut it in half. And if people are interested in learning to throw, we will do that in the session. It's really good
Yeah.
visual aid as well, I suppose, being able to
Hmm.
actually see, oh, the clay's actually, there's still quite a lot down the bottom. Like I can really
Hmm.
squeeze that up. Um, yeah, yeah. So we did a lot of cylinders, which for me, when I was learning, I found it quite difficult to let go of like all of the things I
Yeah.
made. And now still got quite a lot of my first things. I'm like, gosh, I should have just got rid of that.
Yeah.
But it's nice.
But
It
I
is,
guess it's nice to see the
yeah.
evolution.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I definitely made a teapot when I was first learning. Um, I made a teapot. Its function is questionable, but the shape is reminiscent of a teapot, which was
Yeah.
nice. I remember being unwell, specifically remember being unwell the day before I was going back in to trim the lid to fit the teapot, and I was like, I
Hmm.
must get better because I have to be able to go in and trim it. And I did, but I was still not quite 100%. But yeah,
Wow.
I was
Dedication.
yeah, I loved sometimes I dream about clay. It's just yeah.
That's the sweetest thing I've ever heard.
It's just, yeah, I just love it. You know, that's the other thing. I'm so sorry, I'm waffling.
No,
But
please.
it's also the reality is there is a reality that it is also my job. There are tough days. There are days I don't enjoy it. There are, days when I think, oh my gosh, like, do I want to do this forever? Like all of the normal questions that come with any other job. So
Yeah.
yeah, there is always a mix.
Yeah, definitely. But as long as it starts with a passion and,
Starts with
creativity,
passion. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
then it can
absolutely.
grow into, and I guess now it's growing into something that you never thought it could be.
Yeah,
That first day that Hugo's mum took you
yeah.
to that
Who would
pottery
have thought?
class.
Yeah.
Who would have thought now you've like full of like, because like in my head, I was like, I've never remembered you like being like a potter. And then suddenly it was
So
like Kitty
funny.
Ward pottery. And I was like,
Yeah,
have I missed
yeah.
something?
Yeah, that's it is. I still see people that like from sometimes school feels like yesterday, and then I see
Mm,
someone I'm like, gosh, that was such a long time ago. And if I haven't seen someone, it is a bit like, oh wow, that's what you're
yeah,
doing. 'Cause, yeah,
random.
what a curveball.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, I get that all the time with all the
yeah. I
ridiculous
bet.
things that I do in my life. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, people do. I think you expect people. Well, I personally don't because I wouldn't want people to feel the same way about me. But
Mm,
like, I feel like people expect people to stay in the same place,
sure.
in
Yeah.
their life and
Yeah.
not evolve.
Yeah. I
So
remember
yeah,
being
that's
told at sixth form, and I never applied for uni. I didn't go. But I remember being told that it would be a waste of my brain if I didn't. And so that's always like been in my head.
yeah,
So I always thought that I was going to go down, and who knows, I might at some point. You never know
yeah,
what's going to happen. But I always thought that was the way I was going. So this feels almost like a bit like, ha, look at what I've done.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly, yeah.
yeah.
I actually get asked the question a lot, like because we're doing a ski season at the moment, so obviously like I obviously got come away from situations to film these
Yes.
and
Yeah.
also paint and everything.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of questions. I got wrangled into doing the like staff hoodie for this season as
Nice.
well. So like people ask me all the time, like, oh, like how did you get into art, or
Mm,
is it like a natural born thing and whatever? And genuinely, the honest answer is, and I think like I don't know the truth of this,
mm,
but there was one parents' evening, and it was just before I had to do my options for GCSE,
mm.
and I think my art teacher didn't have enough students in his class.
Oh,
And so, like, he was like, because I'd never really shown much. I've always been a really creative person, but very more musically
yeah,
and like
sure. That's
dramatically.
how I kind of
Um,
remember you. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
it was always a lot more within the music side of things. And
Mm,
then he was like speaking to my parents, saying like, "Oh, like Isabel needs to like take art for GCSE and everything like that." And we all kind of walked away like, "Oh." Right, and but like I genuinely think it was because he didn't have enough he didn't have
yeah,
enough kids in his class,
that's
and
so
then but
funny.
his one decision to tell me that I
Yeah,
should take his class has now
amazing.
become this huge thing of
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I'm now an artist, and
Mm,
it's like it's so bizarre how, and he'd never remember that, and like he would probably doesn't even
no.
remember me from school, but like
Yeah.
his one comment of trying
Yeah.
to get me in his class to fill so and then he could keep his job was then has
That's
now just
so
like set
funny.
a trail for my entire life. It's so
Yeah,
random.
it is. It's funny what sticks with you, and also, yeah, how one thing can, yeah, change a lot.
Yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%. And even, because like, God, I'd hate to admit this, but this was like 10 years ago
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
this guy had said this to me and my parents. And and yeah, obviously I've done all sorts of things since that, but art has
Mm,
always been like the running
yeah.
the running thing within it. Like if I didn't have any money to buy somebody a birthday present, I'd just
Yeah.
paint them
Yeah.
something.
It's
Or
funny to think if he maybe hadn't have said that, what whether you would have
yeah,
found it later.
I'd never.
Yeah. No?
I feel like I never would have. Well, I mean, I think even then, like I just took art because I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Mm,
But it wasn't until it was my brother's 18th birthday, I think, because I used to do like a lot of baking as well. That was like another creative outlet for
sure.
me.
Yeah.
So for his 16th birthday, I baked him like a guitar cake and like
Nice.
and like yeah, and I
Yeah.
painted like he got this Epiphone guitar and like I painted the food coloring on it to make it exactly the same as the guitar that he
Oh.
had. And like it was a big guitar, so like that was like my outlet, and that's how like I thought I was creative. And then for
Yeah.
his 18th birthday, funnily enough, actually Hugo was there. I painted my brother this like huge, maybe like meter by meter painting of Slash, the
Right.
guitarist,
Amazing. Yeah.
and I mean like I have to say it's bloody good. It is
Yeah.
good. And like because it was like hyperrealism is my thing. So
Sure.
and it was
Yeah.
just like that was a portrait painting Slash, and like
Mm,
I'll still show people that one. Like if people say, "Oh, show me a piece of your art," I go, "This
yeah.
was my first real painting," and they're just like, "What?" So maybe it wasn't him
Mm,
that did it, like that made me become an artist, but I do definitely think that there was like there's obviously still a bit of like creativity in me because I did that painting for my brother.
yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
just him
Yeah.
him saying like, yeah, Isabel should be in my class. It just created this huge snowball effect of
Mm,
yeah, me becoming an artist.
yeah. That's
It's
lovely.
so odd.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. So we'll do the nice one first because we're
Okay.
in a happy zone.
Yeah.
What is your biggest triumph within creativity?
My biggest triumph. I honestly, I think. No, maybe not. Um, I don't know. There's a lot. There's so many actually. You often forget to like step back and be like, oh, well done me. Like I
Hmm.
started here. I'm now here. Even last year, I wasn't running the lessons. Um, I don't even think I had the kiln. I might have had my kiln, but yeah, a lot changes, and actually, sometimes you need to look back and to see how far you've come. I was gonna say like my biggest triumph is keeping going. Like
That's a
so
no, that's
like
a really good one.
it, it's tough when your income, job, livelihood comes from basically selling yourself. Like I'm selling something that I have made start to finish. Every bit of it is me. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, to sort of get up and try and sell that and, convince people of yourself. Not that I'm a terrible saleswoman. Like people walk in and we'll just be like chatting about their dog or something. Like but yeah, I think I'm most proud that I'm, still going, still doing it.
Yeah,
Mm, yeah,
yeah, I think that's a really important point actually, because like a lot of people do say like not like a physical thing, but like a major event, right? Like people will
yeah,
say like I think my brother said like a festival and stuff, and people say
yeah,
different exhibitions and things.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think that's really amazing, and I think that's probably what resonates with me the most is just keeping on going
yeah.
because like for me, I've got lots of different priorities in the world with when it
Mm,
comes to like art, but also traveling.
Yeah.
and all of this stuff. So like I get that, because like having to always put yourself out there all the time
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
own that title of a potter or an
Yeah.
artist, or it's sometimes it's like I used to find that really difficult telling people I was an artist because I
Yeah.
wasn't doing it full time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas I made like a really big point, I think when I moved to New Zealand, or like during my time in New Zealand, I just used to tell people like I was an artist, and
Yeah.
now it comes so much more naturally to
Without
me.
thinking. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's just
like,
what.
oh well, what do you, oh, well, I'm an artist,
Yeah.
and like, oh, why why do you have paint on
I'm an artist.
on your
Yeah.
thermals that you wear snowboarding? Because I'm an artist.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I think this podcast has really helped as well, because I talk about it more.
Mm, yeah. It
And
is
like,
definitely something, I can try and explain what it's like. Also like I've been self-employed now for a couple of years, and that's comes with it, but that's a whole nother thing as well. Yeah, it's maybe more of a way of life than
mm,
just a job. But it is grand. Um,
no, it's amazing. It's amazing that well, people say, that saying of, if you love the job you do, you never work a day in your life, or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that's really amazing. And also, now that you've like taken your hobby and you've made it your job, you
mm,
can now like, there's a little bit of time for like you to adventure into anything else that you want.
that's definitely something that now um, now that things are a bit like steadier, like
Mm,
I feel slightly more secure in like what I'm doing, and now I've
mm,
got the lessons. Things feel a little bit more stable. That's definitely something I need slash want to do, because this obviously all came from me just loving making pots,
mm,
and sometimes if you're working to a deadline, or got a commission on, or I've got to work around two back-to-back lessons, it's hard to
mm.
make that time. And when I sit at the wheel, that is that is the bit I love the most, and
Yeah.
it's definitely the bit that I do the least. When you
Hmm.
think Potter, it's like, oh gosh, how lovely that she gets to sit and make every day. The
Mm.
actual initial making is probably like 15-20%
Yeah.
of everything else. So that is something I is high up on the priority list now.
Okay, so the next one is a bit of a more depressing one, but what's something that you struggle with?
I mean, social media is the bane of my
Mm.
life.
Yeah.
Um, I love it for what it can do, has done, and I also love it for seeing other people.
Hmm.
Um, I think I just got to the point with it where I felt like I I had to share. I could only share. I mean, this is classic, like classic. I could only share like the great things, or the
Yeah.
perfect things, or even if they weren't perfect, the picture had to be a certain, like, yeah, it just
Hmm.
got to that point. I think we're still in that point, actually. I'm aware of it, but yeah, I also for myself have a vision of how I do want it to look, and what I actually do want to be putting out there.
Mm.
And so yeah, I sort of flip between, is it worth posting even if it's not quite where I want it to be, or do I just go silent and
Yeah.
disappear for a while? And it tends to be the go silent option. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's tough. I really find it hard.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
find it hard too. Like, even though I feel like I'm always putting different stuff out there, like I like somebody added me on Instagram the other day, like I was with them and they
mm,
added me. They were like, "Oh, it's an art page," and they were like scrolling to try and find my art, because it took so long for me to create
yeah,
stuff, so I had to like make fillers in between.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
like, I was like looking at it from somebody else's perspective, like
yeah, sure.
there's no art on this page, like
Yeah,
it was
yeah. That's
so
funny. Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes you think yeah. What you see is obviously a lot different from how everyone else sees it.
So I'm now like, yeah, I don't think I posted yesterday or today because it was just like I want it to be more like the people that I follow is very much art,
Mm.
and I'm using my time trying to create a reel rather than just painting. I'm never going to have any art to put out.
It takes so much time. So much time to put something of like, yeah, good quality or like entertainment value, or it takes so much time.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then you're, you know, going up against people who have all the pro kit, and yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's just
People
another,
will understand it more. You
yeah,
know, I don't have the energy
yeah,
to like take these online courses that's going to give you like 10,000 followers in a week. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't be.
No, no, it is tough. I love my stories. I could be on them all day, just like chatting away, because it
Yeah,
disappears in 20, because it's like there's nothing permanent about it.
yeah,
Um, so it's a bit more lighthearted and fun, and um, yeah. Whereas I feel like when people find your like page or profile for the first time, they really are. It is a visual thing, isn't it? So you want them to be looking at the, I suppose, or in my head, I want them to be looking at the best, um,
yeah,
sort of the best they have to offer. So, yeah, yeah. And
yeah.
then just come to stories for fun.
Yeah, because when the person was going through my page, they
Mm.
clicked on one of my last paintings, and I was like, "Don't look at that one. I hate that one." And then
Oh,
like their girlfriend was like, "Well, you obviously don't hate it so much because you posted it." And I was like, "No, but that's the point. Like, I wanted to post it because I'd spent so long on it, and like
mm.
I'd been quite quiet on social media because I was focusing on this. And then it was like,
Yeah,
oh, it didn't turn out right, but it was
sure.
like I still wanted to post it because I was like, sometimes stuff doesn't
That's
go
a
right."
reality. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's good. I remember that as well, and I think that's a really good. People need a bit of reality. Like there is so much
yeah,
that isn't real on there. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's also, that's why I'm doing this as well.
yeah. It's
Humanizing
great.
the process and everything, because I just feel like I think because everybody does, whoever I speak to, we talk about this, but like you just, or like everyone just seems to be doing so much more than you, and it's like I don't want other people thinking that. So like
Yeah, yeah.
by having this, I want this to be an outlet for other people to feel seen and heard, because
Mm,
that's like, yeah, social media isn't real, and if people are posting all the time, they either do it as their full-time job, they have other people's doing it for them,
yeah,
or like they live on their phone, and I don't want to live on
yeah,
my phone.
yeah,
It's just a whole thing. I feel like
yeah.
I'm quite on social media, but for how active I am compared to how much I despise it, it's
Sure.
quite.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's a tricky one. Sometimes I'm really feeling like full of energy and ready to really hit it, and then other times
Yeah.
not so energetic. There like everyone. I think everyone can always be like striving to be better or learn more, but
Mhm.
there doesn't have to be like pressure on that. I think that's
No.
just something that you can think.
Yeah, no, I think so too. Yeah, I'm definitely now steering towards it, because I did the whole like posting 3 times a day on TikTok and all of that stuff, and
Sure.
it didn't do much for me, if I'm being completely
No,
honest.
I don't use that one.
Where like the other day, I actually posted a video of me painting, and I got like 3 new followers, and it was like,
Mm,
you just post my paintings more. So like, yeah,
yeah,
it feels like a double-edged sword, because I feel like I have such I feel like I have such a low opinion of the algorithm. I'm just like, I hate the
yeah,
algorithm
yeah.
so much.
Where I'm like, it can't be just be as simple as posting every day. Like
Yeah,
and
yeah,
also part of me is like, oh, if I do it and then it doesn't work, like how
yeah,
embarrassing, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. It's
So
and
I'll
then
just like stay in my little lane.
yeah, because then you get, like a video I think you did, and you were like throwing just clay into a
Yeah,
bucket, and it got like
It's like my best
so
video.
many-
And I told my dad, and he was like, and dad doesn't do any social media or anything. And I showed him the video, and I was like, look at this. And he was like, is that even of pottery? And I was like, no. Like, it is part of the wider process, but it's got,
Yeah.
it was literally, me pouring water into a bucket. And he was like, well, that's good, but I don't get it. And I was like, no, neither do I.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's random post that you think not like there'll be a post and you think about it so much, and you'll get like, and then there'll be like a post where you just post it out there and it's like thousands of views. And you're
Always
like,
the ones
how
you think
does this make
least about. Yeah.
sense? Anyway, yeah, because me as well. Like with doing this, I at least know that I'll put like one out a week of saying which other I have on.
Yeah.
But like also I don't want the algorithm to have like this chokehold on me of like, because even like with pottery, because obviously like there's such a long process, but like you have an outcome basically within a week. Whereas for me, because I also am working a full-time job, like I've been painting the painting that I've been painting for like 5-6 weeks now through everything. So it's
everything else.
so it's like how and even like the progress, even if I did like a little progress video every single day, that people would be like, there's no progress there. Just like, oh, but
just you wait.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is so, it's wild. But no, I completely agree with that, and I think a lot of people can. Just
I think
so
I don't think that's unusual. I'm sure if you were to ask, I'm sure it's not an unusual answer, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
I couldn't do without it either.
Yeah.
So,
and thank God you're able to have, although you get a lot of publicity through social media, you are still able to have your studio and have people walking past.
Because absolutely.
I was also speaking to a friend of mine, Hayley, who was on an episode a few weeks ago, and she's been a full-time artist forever. And, she had a website and everything, but like she's not too. She says that she's not great on social media, but like she'll always post like little reels and stuff because she's so quick. Because she's been doing it for like 25 years. She can just. It's amazing. She'll just post it, but she doesn't rely on being like an influencer. Full-time artist. Like I feel I definitely do fall into the whole of thinking like, if I can make it on social media, I can become a full-time artist, and then that kind of stops me from just putting out print, just going markets and whatever. Like I did a Christmas market at Christmas time in Dartmouth, and I did like a lino print, and I printed a load of wrapping paper.
Oh, I saw that. Loved it.
Awful day there. It was a bad day, and I was the only one that made money. I made like 150 quid on just wrapping. So it was like, and like when I was posting about it online and stuff, not many people were interacting with it, but I was like, I'm just gonna do it anyway. It was for my auntie. My auntie's boss was hosting the thing, so I was like, I'll just do it. And then I ended up just like making like 150 quid off of wrapping paper, and it was just like, it was like, oh yeah, you just gotta go out and do it.
Just do it.
And
there's always a fallback. Like you can always just
live in the real world.
Do it exactly.
Okay, we've come to the time where I gave you your quick fire 3.
Okay.
So it's okay. You'll be fine. So, first of all, why blue?
Honestly, no deep reason. It works and it looks nice. It's not meant to be the sea, although I get why it looks like the sea. It's not meant to be birds, although sometimes they look like birds. There's no deep meaning in there, unfortunately. It's just
okay, nice. What's your favorite thing to throw?
Good question. Throwing, that's such a good question. I'm looking at my stuff because that's a really, really good question, because I enjoy the throwing is, I think, like I said, my favorite bit. So I enjoy throwing all of the bits. Oh my gosh. I think maybe throwing. I really enjoy throwing mugs because my second favorite part is putting handles in things. So when I'm
Mhm.
throwing mugs, I know that they're going to have a handle on. So I like throw them with that, with like the full image in mind.
Mhm.
Um, and I can also like like repetition throw them pretty quickly, and it's a nice process.
Yeah, nice. Do you pull your handle?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Always like I stop pulling handles whenever like a customer comes in because it's so phallic. I'm like
yeah.
I this isn't anything that it looks like it is, but I can't do it when anyone else is in.
That's so fair. That is
Yeah,
really fair.
yeah.
And my last question is, what's next for you?
What's next? Short term, long term, either term.
Long
Um,
term?
long term. Okay. Yeah, long term is to hopefully start doing the blue, and this is like my core, like the blue with the white is like my core range, but hopefully to try and do maybe like seasonal drops of limited items with different colors. Um,
Yeah,
that
nice.
that would be nice. I'd enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Just like picking a couple colors of the season,
Yeah.
say autumn or like
Exactly. Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it gives me that injection of difference as well, that bit of spice.
yeah, yeah, nice. And then I guess if people have already bought one thing from you but love it but use it all the time, it's like, well, I've already got one. Then you do a different color. It's like, oh well,
Yeah,
I can now have that.
exactly. Or if I do like a one color and like someone hopefully might then say, "Oh, I'd actually love a whole range in this color."
Yeah,
Um, yeah, it opens a few doors. Yeah,
cool. So
yeah.
good. Well, I can't wait to see. I really hope you do that. I will
Thanks. I've
definitely.
got to do it now.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
We actually on my last podcast we were talking about doing like a yearly like roundup, and
Yes.
so
Yeah.
next year we're gonna have
You
another
have to help
episode,
me to it. Yeah. Yeah.
and we'll see whether you've done.
Nice.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. I've had such a lovely time.
Pleasure. I've loved it. I don't often get to like Hugo's self-employed, so we often chat about being self-employed, but I don't often chat about like art or creativeness. So it's been really nice.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. I've really, really loved it, and you've inspired me. I now want to go home and grab it.
Tell your dad to get on the wheel.
Yeah, I will. Well, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
Another huge thank you to Kitty for being on. It was so amazing to listen to her story, and it was great to hear that sometimes things just fall into place. A reminder that Artists Supporting Artists comes out every Tuesday, so make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button so you don't miss an episode. Thank you, love you, bye!